So component 5 is about the biopsychosocial model of behaviour.
What I want to get across is that it's actually, her behaviour isn't challenging if you're seeing it through the lens that you're trying to understand, that her behaviour is communicating a message. There is something she wants me to hear. And actually that message is really logical and very appropriate when you take into consideration her biology, her genetics, her life experience, the system that she's has surrounded her whole life, her experiences of her whole life, and then what is happening in that moment, and maybe what happened in the kind of bigger part of time around her, I suppose. I haven't said that very well, but the hours before, the days before, the weeks before, sometimes even the years before, all these experiences have resulted in her needing something now. And that is what her behaviour, which might be, call it behavioural concern, behaviour that challenges, or behaviour that would be described as challenging, almost the words don't matter, do they? Yeah. What we've got to look at is what does she need? What's wrong? What's missing?
So component 6 is about behavioural approaches to learning, experience and interactions. And I think one of the things I really value about PBS is that sort of big picture view. So it's looking at the support for somebody throughout their life. So maybe it's about communication, maybe it's about that support to really help somebody communicate how they're feeling and what they need. Maybe it's thinking about the environment that somebody is in, how can we make that into a capable environment? It's that idea, it really links in with that idea of people as being the whole person that I really value, because it ties in with all of the stuff around knowing people well and recognising who they are. Have I told you about my Joe's cooking?
No.
Oh. So my Joe loves to cook. And it's something that I think has struck horror into many people's hearts, because he doesn't really understand about a lot of things around safety. And when you're cooking, there are sharp knives, there are gas flames, but he loves it. And we've had to really think hard about how can we make that something he can do. Some of it's about the level of support we give him. Some of it's about finding knives that he can use independently that aren't as dangerous. But it brings him so much joy.
That's it.
And he asks to do it all the time. He likes to cook his own food. And as a 16-year-old young man, not every 16-year-old young man can make their own dinner, but Joe can certainly have a go at some of that for himself.
That's wonderful. So number 7 is about multi-professional and cross-disciplinary approaches. And I think part of understanding positive behavioural support is understanding that there are actually 3 tiers and 3 levels of kind of support in PBS.
Absolutely, and I think sometimes some of that support is seen almost as being a luxury. I think it's a very human thing to recognise that when life feels like a struggle, when life doesn't feel good, when the environment you're living in, when the support around you isn't working for you, of course you're going to be more likely to use behaviours of concern. Of course, any of us would.
Yes.
So that investment into those kind of tier 1 services, making sure that people are supported, say, in a trauma-informed way, if that's relevant for them, making sure that people are supported around their communication, that people are getting the right support to live a good life is so powerful in keeping life just ticking along nicely. And then, as you say, people don't need those sort of higher level, more intensive sorts of support. But I think somehow that seems to get missed a little bit, that it's almost as if actually we need to be doing that stuff first. But no, we need to be providing those opportunities and that support so people can be living good, healthy lives.
No, it's really important, isn't it? And that's all kind of that sort of tier, what they call tier 1 things in PBS, about getting good environment, good support across the whole life, understanding what makes a good life, getting it in early, because that's where we want the big investment, isn't it, in tier 1. And obviously some people need more support. You know, at tier 2 you might want to do something called a functional assessment, where you actually really look in a more scientific way about to work out what is the communication behind this behaviour. You know, how do we do that? And that would be a class as tier 2. But you can't do a tier 2 unless you've got all the tier 1 stuff. And then for some people, tier 2 might not be enough, and then you might need to go to tier 3 where you've got even more intensive support.
what's made a real difference for us, I think, in trying to get that good life is having a team of people working together, supporting us. So I feel that, yes, I have real expert knowledge about my own young people, but I also really appreciate being able to link up with other people and their expert knowledge too. You know, being able to link in with the speech language therapist, being able to link in with the OT, with the children's case managers from continuing care, and for all of us really to work together, because none of us see the full picture. It's only by us coming together and working together and getting those different viewpoints that we can get that kind of 360 view of the kids' lives, and that's the best way for us to make the best decisions for them.